Hi, I am Taylor Rose, and I just kind of wanted to go over like some things about like the ego today because I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, dang man, I want to make a video. What can I talk about? And so something that I noticed like just on a daily basis, like throughout life, in my entire life, and I'm sure that you guys could relate, people have an ego, whether if it's us or just the people around us or strangers walking down the street. And it's a big issue nowadays, but it means nothing to hate on once again, people are walking through their own shoe. But I kind of wanted to go over like a little bit like what is the ego, because people really get ego and confidence and like pride all mixed up and stuff. So the ego, it's a person's self-esteem or self-importance, right? So like the ego like doesn't really have you like really considering the points of views of others and are often opinionated. They're self-absorbed, focused on their own point of view, image, and preferences. So the ego is born out of fear and isolation. Okay. So basically, like your insecurities, where you have all your doubts, where you feel like you'll have all your weaknesses, and you don't want anyone else to see that, right? So it's that, it's that bold reaction, you know what I'm saying? It's that ego of you have this, self-importance and you're self-absorbed and you don't want anyone else to see your weaknesses or your insecurities. So like immediately you're saying something and explaining yourself, even though you should never have to explain yourself. Like the proof is in the pudding, right? True colors always show. So having to explain yourself goes the extra mile. Or if you ever hear someone else like trying to explain themselves, like immediately, like you can automatically just tell that someone's just trying to go above and beyond, right? Just to like convince you of something or just try to get attention or anything like that, of all this kind of sorts. And so it creates our identity and separates us from those around us when we were a child. So ego is the process of identifying the self in terms of opposing ourselves to others. So it's just like making an opposition basically, so making yourself opposite. So the ego like of self, people like really want that attention, so they make themselves out to be like they're more special, or they're special in a different way, which everyone is special in their own way, but there's like a whole drag on it of this self-importance, like as if it's more important than somebody else, which is not true. Like we are all equally the same. But anyway, so constantly thinking about what they want, what they are doing, who they are, and what other people are think about them. They really care what other people are think about them, because it's stemmed from childhood of some sort. Just, I mean, in society alone nowadays, I mean, it's getting so just progressively not good. You know what I'm saying? It's really not getting any better. So there's always the focus on the me, and never considering anybody else. And so they're always so focused on how they feel, what they want, all that kind of stuff, like I just said. So people have ego because they are not aware of the true sense of living. The day they find the real meaning of life, they will let the ego go. You know what I'm saying? Because when you hold on to your ego, it's like you never have enough and you can never be happy, and it's just never what you want it to be, because you have all these like high expectations, and no one's going to be able to fill them because, you're being overly critical of others, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, people don't like that. They really don't like that. So, I mean, just the equation itself, it's not going to be like successfully built empire. No, it's going to be like, okay, well, these people are supposed to be friends right here, but both of them got an ego, or one of them got an ego, and the other one just shuts his mouth his whole entire life, just listening to it. And like eventually one day that person is not going to want to have to take it no more. And they're going to want to step out that door and leave, because to respect the self and to love oneself, to put themselves in a situation where they're going to be treated the way that they deserve, the way that everyone really truly deserves. But we got to start cleaning this mess up somewhere. So it's not going to be easy. Okay. It's not going to be easy at all. Okay. So, anyway, so the ego gets in the way of our happiness. It is overly preoccupied with our survival, accumulation, and success, and works to build an identity that both sets us above everyone else and helps us to fit in. So ego is our false self, okay? The person we become so other people will like us, admire us, and accept us, right? And so like I really do feel like the materialistic world and greed and social status has a lot to do with the ego, especially if you're growing up in a family that's, has a lot of money. And I'm not saying that the people are bad people. No, it's just the ego, like to be able to identify if you do have an ego, you can from there be aware of it and maybe fix it, so that way you can have your own happiness. And that's the goal, man. That is the goal, that for everyone just to be able to feel their own happiness, so that they don't have to sit there, or not have to, but so that way they don't choose to sit there and try to take someone else's happiness from them, for no good reason. Like, they're not going to gain anything, but like, they don't even care because they're not happy themselves. It's like misery loving kind of company. So I don't know what's with the accent. I just, yeah. Anyway, so our ego without awareness can be disastrous to our relationships and the outer world. So like, just the people that we come across, like a lot of people, they notice when a person has ego, and then it's like a, it's like a domino effect, okay? It's like, bing, 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 like domino after domino after domino, just all falling because people are following this social, society, like crowd, like the cookie cutter thing to do, and it's not cool. Like I said in this other video, like, because it doesn't make anyone feel good. And then people are basically lying to themselves in the self-denial, thinking like, oh, I'm hot shit and I'm everything and all this kind of stuff, trying to convince everybody else for attention. But really on the inside, they never feel like they have enough, so it just really contradicts each other, it really does. And so to be aware of the ego, to really just accept it, like within inside oneself, like, hey man, like, actually, hold on. So, for an example, I'll get to what I was saying. For an example, so a deeply religious person may spend their entire life trying to convince other people of his religious beliefs, right? That happens a lot. Religion, right? Separation, right? I'm pretty spiritual myself, but I'm not really religious. Like, it's just another form of separation, but that is just my opinion. So, but I don't hate, So he makes all kinds of sacrifices and tells himself it's for the betterment of the world, when in fact he's really just serving his ego's desperate need to be superior, So like, yeah, I mean, I think that said it just right, So when in fact he's really just serving his ego's desperate need to be superior. So ego tries to get its needs met. Okay, so whether it be material gain, a sense of power, superiority, or superiority, you got it, right? Specialness, some kind of gratification, whether it be physical or psychological. So to get attention from others, recognition, praise, admiration, or just to be noticed in some way, to have their ego, or their sense of self, acknowledged, right? So people use their ego to get what they want as well, and it's a form of manipulation, and it doesn't make no one feel good. Okay. It really doesn't. At the end of it, that person that's using it for manipulation, they're not going to really truly feel good, and they're not going to feel really good. They're not going to be happy on the inside because they're never going to feel like they have enough, right? So they're going to keep going out and doing it and projecting and more and more. And the other people on the other side of that, like, that feel like they can't stand up and say anything, one day they're just going to be like, I'm out, like, bye, and that's unfortunate, So people use the ego to get what they want. So by complaining, bitterness, resentment, people pleasing, or demanding, needy respect, materialism, accumulation, greed, dissatisfaction with what we have, vanity or self-hatred, those comments where I hate myself, just to get attention, so judgments, opinions, just making judgments on all these other people, like very like bluntly about it, but not cool. And so other people in that group, it's like a power trip. And so most people are just like, oh, okay. And then they're inspired to do that too. And it's not even inspired. They're influenced. They're wrongly influenced to do so. And so it's just this domino, man. We need to go to the butterfly, okay? Like, for real, man. Because, like, don't you want to feel good? I think everyone else wants to feel good, too. People just don't know how. And we can figure it out, dude, together, all right? So, defensiveness, feeling attacked, so the people with ego, they're always feeling like they're being attacked because they're taking things personally because they've held on to that past trauma from when they were a kid, because our ego is at play when we find ourselves wrapped up in our obsessive thoughts about the past, right? So it's like how someone wronged us, how miserable we may have failed at something, how much someone may have let us down, So ego loves that control, but it's just like when you don't go back and you don't forgive and you don't release, because no one's perfect, man. Like I said in the other video, we're caught in other people's crossfire. We're going to catch people in our crossfire. We can't take anything personally. We're all here to help each other evolve and to, like, get into this harmony, because it's supposed to feel good, and it's about dang time we get there and start doing that. So ego is always hungry for more and loves to tell us that we never have enough. So my suggestion would try to practice gratitude for what you do have, you know what I'm saying, and go back and try to like heal those, those traumatic events. Maybe it was really traumatic. Maybe the way you grew up was just horrific, and you could try to go talk to somebody about it and they would not listen, or they're not going to listen. Well, and it's not because they don't want to. Maybe it's because they don't know how to give you sound advice. Maybe a lot of people wouldn't know what to say because they've had a different experience. So maybe just going within, maybe journaling would really help too. But don't ignore your feelings. Like, validate your feelings and how you felt, and like, don't suppress them no more. Like, try to dig them up and feel that process, that grieving process through, feel that emotion, so you can look at it from a different perspective, so you can grow and personally develop. So but yes, the ego is never satisfied. And I'm just going to say, like, I know we're living in a world right now where a whole lot of people, it's about money, greed, ego, like all about me kind of stuff, and it's like, that's not attractive. I mean, maybe it's to some people, but really at the end of it, it's just, it attracts more toxic stuff because that's toxic itself. So then it's like, these two toxic things are not ever going to be happy. So why don't we just give up the fight? Like, why don't we just give it up? You know what I mean? Like, because we all deserve to be happy. We all deserve good things, no matter what we have done, because a lot of people in the world, they've done their own things. They've had their own experiences. They've had their own journey. Okay. So we can't even judge anybody. So if you run into somebody with an ego, like, don't let them be mean to you or like push you around, but, my suggestion would be to practice gratitude, but, compassion, maybe a little bit of tough love. Okay. That can go a long way too, but not rough with it, just compassion, because we don't know what other people are going through. And sometimes, or most of the time, even the power trippers in the room, they want love too. Okay, they want love too. They're not going to tell you this, but they do. No matter how big and bad they're going to make themselves look, they want love too. And that's something you can choose to do, or you can just walk away, but to become aware of like whether if we have ego or not is really going to help other people too. So Taylor Rose, and I'm out. Yeah, peace out.